In this video, I'm eating 1800 calories per day, training 7 days per week, often twice a day, doing HIIT cardio 3 to 4 times per week, averaging 15 to 20,000 steps per day, and probably 7 or 8% body fat. But you guys can let me know in the comment section down below. I was going absolutely insane mentally. Fast forward 6 months later, in this video I'm eating 3,000 plus calories per day, training 4 to 5 times per week, eliminated all HIIT cardio, averaging 7 to 9,000 steps per day, sleeping like a baby, and also apparently looking like one. I know. I look young. I'm guessing in this video I'm probably around the 8% body fat or so, but you guys can let me know in the comment section down below. Today we're gonna break down my entire reverse diet leading into my current bulking phase that has allowed me to stay relatively lean while putting myself in a better position to pack on some more muscle mass. Let's get into it. Over the past 2 years, I got myself into quite the negative cycle of burn more, eat less, justified or not by my body dysmorphia and irrational perception of how I viewed myself. It took me from eating 2,800 calories all the way down to eating 1,800 calories, all the while increasing my cardio from essentially no cardio all the way up to, as I said, doing 4 to 5 HIIT sessions per week and averaging 15 to 20,000 steps per day. Now, I'm not gonna dive too deep into the negative and detrimental effects of maintaining that sort of lifestyle and exercise habits for an extended period of time, but I figured I'd be transparent in saying that maintaining those specific habits is not in any way sustainable, and in these past few months I've really realized how unnecessary it is to live that way. For sedentary individuals who aren't really exercising, yes, sometimes this can be a motivator and an easy tool to consistently lose weight as you go through that initial stage. But for long-term success and for individuals who are already trained, I think it's important to put your focus on progression of the training, to focus on building muscle rather than just constantly burning. Anyways, that's enough about the past. Let's get into the structure of my reverse diet. Back in November of 2021, I knew I had to make a pretty major shift in my diet and exercise regimen, knowing that I was already regressing. I knew that an immediate jump from 1,800 calories where I was at with all of the training load to 3,000 calories with none of the training load would put just as much of a shock on my body as being in a starvation state. Knowing how I am and how I almost always live in extremes, I knew that I needed a specific protocol and a specific plan that I could follow to the T to make sure that I'm not getting sidetracked based off of other factors. Each week, I added an additional 50 calories to my daily caloric intake, and I monitored my weight to see where I was progressing. There were really only 3 scenarios here and potential adjustments that I could make. 1, if my weight was still dropping, being that I was in a caloric deficit already, I would continue to increase my calories and make the decision on whether or not it'd be smart to make bigger jumps with my caloric intake to get out of that danger zone. 2, if my weight was maintaining, I would continue to increase my calories by 50 per week as I previously planned. 3, if my weight was increasing, which means that I'm in a caloric surplus and which is where I want to be during this whole bulking phase, then I would monitor my weight closely and see if I need to adjust the surplus to more or less if I'm gaining weight too rapidly. Because my hunger cues were so thrown off from the chronic dieting as well as the chronic exercise, I knew that I had to be very specific and very particular with my planning of my caloric increases. From where I was at, which is around 1,800 calories, all the way up to now, where I'm at 3,100 to 3,200 plus calories, it's about a 1,300 calorie jump. Now, knowing that from November until May is about 6 months or so, it would take me 26 weeks adding 50 calories each week in order to get to where I'm at. And I followed that pretty much right to the T, now to the point where I'm actually gaining weight, which is what I want. So the key reasoning behind this subtle caloric adjustment is not only physical, it's also psychological. Making a massive jump from 1,800 to 3,000 calories and seeing extreme amounts of body fat gain would be especially mentally taxing for me, for someone who deals with body dysmorphia or who always wants to maintain a particular physique. So to minimize the amount of fat gain and the amount of psychological damage that I could be potentially doing, adding in 50 calories per week and maintaining this pretty strict structure of my reverse dieting allows me to cancel out some of those negative effects. So now that we've covered the nutritional aspect, looking at caloric intake at a base level, it's important to also look at my energy expenditure, which will obviously affect this whole calories in, calories out mentality that you've probably had jammed into the back of your brain. As I said at the beginning of November, I was doing 4 HIIT sessions per week. These were generally anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes, and I was walking walking 15 to 20,000 steps per day, training 7 days per week, oftentimes twice per day. Now I knew that a massive jump and a massive shift in energy expenditure would shock my body similarly to a massive jump in my caloric intake. So instead of jumping from doing all of this activity where I'm burning potentially another 600 to 800 calories per day and just cutting that out all out immediately, instead I tapered it off just the same way that I slowly added in these caloric increases. When you're structuring your reverse diet and you're lowering your activity or you're increasing your calories, it's important to make small jumps so that you can gauge what's actually happening and you can assess what's working and what's not. Starting in November, I began reducing the number of HIIT sessions that I was doing by 1 every single month. So for example, in November, I was doing 4 per month, and then December I was doing 3 per month, January I was doing 2 per month, February I was doing 1, and then by March I was doing no HIIT cardio at all. Each week I lowered my steps by about 1,000. Now of course, again, this can't be 100% accurate, but generally speaking, I was lowering my steps in my overall daily activity until I reached a point where I was just walking and gathering my steps through normal daily activities. Now this doesn't mean that some days I don't get above 10,000 steps now, some days I get 6,000 steps. It's more just being okay with not getting this quote-unquote scheduled cardio in and making sure that I hit this 10,000 step mark every single day, because I know that that's just a recipe for persistent metabolic adaptations, and eventually I'm gonna hit a point, a threshold, where I'm gonna have to just continue increasing the steps as I did back in November of 2021 when I was at 15 to 20,000 steps per day. Totally unsustainable. What the majority of people fail to account for is that when you're doing such extended bouts of excessive exercise and activity, your body actually slows down the other sorts of energy expenditure, non-exercise activity, thermogenesis, and movements throughout your day. So you may be tapping your foot less, you may be twiddling your thumbs a little bit less, and all of this stuff really does add up. To round this video out, I really want to make sure that you guys understand that this form of reverse dieting, of steady increasing, may not work for every single individual. I know for me personally, psychologically, I had to put these markers in place to ensure that I do continue to increase my calories, decrease my activity on a consistent basis. But I know for a lot of other people, psychologically, it may be easier just to take the leap of faith and add in those extra calories or stop the training, or some people are in different positions. I wanted to make this video not only to show you guys how I increased from 1,800 all the way up to 3,100, 3,200 plus calories without gaining a ton of body fat, but to also admit of my mistakes and wrongdoings in the past with my training and diet protocols, because I truly do believe that if I'm not learning and consistently growing and giving you guys this information, then I'm just going to be stuck in the same place and I would have continued down that same negative cycle. Not only has this major shift in my lifestyle, my training habits, my diet protocol, all of that different stuff allowed me to get better with my training and continue to progress my training, I've also seen so many improvements outside of that with regards to my mood, my energy, my sleep. I went from sleeping 4 to 5 hours a night, and I know a ton of people struggle with sleep, to sleeping 8 hours pretty much every night and pretty much straight through, rather than having those consistent interruptions. That being said, this certainly won't work for everyone, but I think it's a testament to the effects of lowering the stress on the body and allowing yourself to function the way that a normal human should function, improving your sleep, mastering your macronutrient profile, and eventually getting yourself in a position to build more muscle and live a happier life. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video and gained a little bit better insight as to how I structured this reverse diet. I know I kind of just said, oh, I'm going on a bulk, and then I never really explained, one, the benefits of doing it in a particular manner, and also the specifics around how I was adjusting my calories and adjusting my activity throughout this entire phase. So if you did enjoy the video, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new. I'll leave a link down below to all the supplements, socials, etc. All of that stuff is in the description down below. So if you guys want to check that out and support the channel, we truly do appreciate it. This has been 16-year-old Tristan Lee, who is actually 19. I promise I'm not 16 anymore. Signing out. Peace.